One of the most common questions I get about Polaroid cameras is how to replace the batteries. When you first pick up a camera from a flea market or you dig one up in the basement, it's probably not going to do anything. You're going to try to turn it on, you move it, and it doesn't seem to work. And the reason for that is that the camera is actually powered by its film pack. There's no place to put in AA batteries or anything like that. The camera is actually powered by the film cartridge itself. So if it doesn't have a film cartridge in it, or if there's one that's really old, most likely it's not going to do anything. So the good thing is that to get a camera up and running, usually all you got to do is buy some new film from Polaroid Originals, stick it in there, and you're good to go. Now, Polaroid cartridges usually had a battery with enough power for about 10 exposures and about 10 uses of the flash. So often just from age or even partial use, old vintage packs of Polaroid film are going to have a dead battery. But the film itself is still good and it's incredibly rare. So you want to make sure that you salvage the film by transferring it to a cartridge with a battery that still works. Luckily, Polaroid Originals film, which Polaroid Originals is who currently makes Polaroid film, the batteries in these cartridges last a long time. They actually last longer than the film inside of it requires. So you can shoot a pack of film and then once it's empty, pull out the cartridge, and the cartridge still has a good battery in it. So you can actually use the cartridge again. So in order to salvage an old pack of film, or even you might come across an old Impossible Project film or an old Polaroid Originals cartridge of film that just has a dead battery or the camera shorted out the battery, you can still save that film. All you gotta do is transfer the unexposed film from the cartridge that doesn't work to a cartridge that does. Now I'm gonna show you how to transfer a film from a dead cartridge to one that has a battery that still works. Now there's one very, very important thing to keep in mind. You're going to need to do this in complete darkness. Any exposure to light is going to ruin the film. So I'm actually doing it in a bright studio environment so you can see, and it's going to ruin every picture I use to do this. It's my humble sacrifice for the purpose of education. Also, if you have some already exposed images, you can actually use that to practice, and I highly recommend practicing before trying to do this in the dark. It's doable, but it can be somewhat difficult. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure that the cartridge that you're using, that you're going to transfer the film to, actually works. So to do that, all you got to do is take the empty cartridge, pop it into a camera. The camera's going to act like there's film in it. It's going to try to spit out something. You just pop open flash and take a picture. So obviously no film's coming out because the cartridge is empty, but the cartridge works. So we know that it's going to be worth our time transferring this film. Also, just a side note, if you're shopping for Polaroid cameras, empty cartridges are a great thing to have on hand just to troubleshoot cameras or just to test if they work or not. Often, if you know a cartridge works, you can just pop it into a camera. If it's whirring and going through the motions, you know you got a camera that works. If it doesn't do anything, the camera might not actually work. When transferring film to a new cartridge, it's good to know how a cartridge is actually assembled. So any Polaroid film cartridge, the first thing that goes in is the pictures themselves. There's going to be a stack of 8 in a Polaroid Originals cartridge, and there'll be 10 in a vintage Polaroid cartridge. At the very top is going to be a dark slide. Now, you can actually use a dark slide you pull from an old cartridge, or you can just use an already exposed picture. All a dark slide is going to be whenever you load a camera for the first time, it's going to spit out whatever is on top of the stack thinking that it's dark slide. So if you load up the pack and you don't have something on top, or you just have an unexposed picture on top, the camera's just gonna shove it out and you're gonna lose a picture. All right, now let's transfer some film. So pretend everything is in darkness now, or you have a darkness bag that you can put your hands in and do this. That's kind of a common piece of darkroom equipment for on the go. I usually just do it in a completely dark room when I have to do this. That's the easiest. Just find a bathroom, make sure you seal off any light whatsoever because it will affect the film. Take your old cartridge and you're just gonna push out the pictures. And just push each one out the slot. So this cartridge only has 2. I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. Put the old cartridge aside. Now you're gonna take your new cartridge. There's like a little plastic lip on the front. You're gonna push the lip down, and you want this kind of paper part to go in this way. So with the image facing up, push image through the same hole. There's these little plastic lips, so it could be a little difficult. You're also going to want to press down on this little metal thing. This spring pushes the film up, so as you shoot the images, it pushes the next one up. If you don't push it up as you put it in, it'll actually come in underneath, and that's not going to work. So pull it back out, pull the spring down, put it in here, and we're good to go. So you see the image is coming over the spring, which is critical, and kind of push it down, keep pushing it. You got to make sure it gets over this lip. The first one is typically the hardest because it's going to be somewhat difficult. There's like a little part of the spring in the back that doesn't always like to cooperate. There we go. And when you get it completely through, then you can keep pulling this thing out. There's a lot of little pieces that protect the image from light. So this is what it looks like once you successfully have the image in there. Obviously, you won't be able to see it, but when you practice, you can kind of get a hand for it. So the next image, just push it in the same way. Insert it in the slot. Kind of push it down so it comes in over the image you just already put in there. So you can kind of see it coming through. Just push it through. Make sure it goes all the way through, all the way to the end. There you go. This little piece of plastic is going to continuously get sucked in, so you just have to keep pulling it out. Now, let's say you've loaded all 8 images. You really only want to load 8. You can try to load 10, like old Polaroid. I wouldn't recommend it. Just stick with 8. Now take your dark slide or just an already exposed image. I usually use an exposed image because I'm always worried I'm not going to insert the dark slide right, but either one works. So you just take your exposed image, that's going to act as your dark slide. Just push it through the top, just like all the other ones. And you want to make sure this is on the top of the stack, because this is what's going to protect the stack of film from light, and it's also going to be what's spit out of the camera when we insert it. So there we go. Film successfully transferred. So now you can take it out of the dark room or wherever you have it shielded from light, and you can check, make sure that it's good to go. All right, now that you successfully transferred your film, it's time to shoot it. Just take a Polaroid camera, make sure you're using the right kind. Insert the film like any other pack. And you're gonna see that the camera ejected that top image. I used a already exposed Polaroid just as a dark slide. And if you use the dark slide, it'll eject that. Now turn on the camera and take your picture. All right, that's how you transfer film from a dead pack to one that still works. Good luck and happy shooting.